Hello, everybody, and welcome back. And today, over the tenses, so far we went over the present indicative and the present subjunctive tense. And the tenses I want to cover today are going to be the indicative preterite and the indicative imperfect. Those two tenses being the full past tense in Spanish. So yay, we're finally getting into past tense conjugations. And I'll go over a few useful phrases there. And I also want to go over the present progressive a little bit too, and see what we could do there as well. Anyway, let me get my whiteboard up and let's get started. And after this video, we're going to have a special 300 subscriber video. Don't tell anybody. It's going to be a secret. I'm going to share my screen. Okay. So, first and foremost, I would like to go over the preterite tense in the conjugations. So, the preterite has the most exceptions in it. Just to give you guys a little warning there, a little heads up. The preterite is the tense that has the most exceptions. And the preterite is the full strength past tense in the Spanish language. So I'd like to go over a few conjugations with you guys. So just like when we did the indicative present tense, what the verb ser be? What happened with the verb ser? Well, just like in the indicative yo form in the present tense, it would be soy, but in the preterite, it is yo fue. See? And just like in the indicative present tense, the to form is eres, the preterite form is fuiste. See? And then just like the indicative present tense is el, ella, y usted es, it's el, ella, y usted fui in the preterite. What happens in the plural forms? What happens in the nosotros forms? Well, it's somos in the present tense indicative, but it is fuimos in the preterite. Then the Spain vosotros would be sois in the present, and fuisteis in the preterite. What happened to the el, ella, y usted form? Well, in the indicative present, it's son, but in the preterite, it is fueron. See that? I'm giving you guys a little taste of the preterite tense already, meaning you were being in the past. So, ser conjugated in the preterite indicative is yo fue, tu fuiste, él, ella, y usted fui, nosotros y nosotras fuimos, vosotros y vosotras fuisteis, y ellos, ellas, y ustedes fueron. See that? Now, before I go to another verb, I want you guys to notice this. The preterite has so many exceptions. The preterite has so many exceptions because if you look at this, see why? If it's fue, and then you go fuiste, fui, fuimos. Now pay close attention to the vosotros form. Estéis. And pay attention, be careful here. No accent mark, no stressor that needs a tilde in the vosotros form, and look, eron. See, the preterite has very many exceptions to it. Let's try the verb estar. Let's try the verb estar now. So this is a pretty complex one in the preterite, and that's actually estar is a good one to go over because estar is a very complex verb in the preterite. Look at this. Yo estuve, tú estuviste, él, ella y usted estuvo, nosotros y nosotras estuvimos, vosotros y vosotras estuvisteis, ellos, ellas y ustedes estuvieron. See that? So estar, ser and estar are two very important verbs in the Spanish language. And I'd also like to go over the verb haber too. Haber is another important one as well. So conjugated in the preterite for the verb estar, yo estuve, tú estuviste, él, ella y usted estuvo, nosotros y nosotras estuvimos, vosotros y vosotras estuvisteis, y ellos, ellas y ustedes estuvieron. And you still notice this difference of how these exceptions are. The vosotros form has a big exception to it in the preterite, as you see. See that? Let's go over the verb haber now. That's a verb we haven't even covered. Haber is another important verb in the Spanish language as well. So the Spanish verb haber, conjugating this in the preterite, you have yo hube, tú hubiste, él, ella y usted hubo, nosotros y nosotras hubimos, vosotros y vosotras hubisteis, ellos, ellas y ustedes hubieron. See that? So the verb haber conjugated in the preterite indicative is yo hube, tú hubiste, él, ella y usted hubo, nosotros y nosotras hubimos, vosotros y vosotras hubisteis, ellos, ellas y ustedes hubieron. Now, it's more than just the vosotros form that has big changes in the preterite, that have big exceptions. Notice the to form. Notice this too. Hubiste. That's a pretty big change in the preterite right there. See that? And also the vosotros form. Oh, dang. Didn't want to do that. Zoom has so many stupid options sometimes, but if you look here, the vosotros form, I've already showed you this. Ubistes. Ah, that's the biggest change right there. And also notice the ellos, ellas, y ustedes form. Ieron. That is another big change right there. See that? Sorry about that. Give me just a second here, but Ieron, that is another big change in the preterite. See that? The two vosotros, vosotras, and ellos, ellas, y ustedes form have the biggest change in the preterite. Okay, let's go kind of easy now. I'll use green. What the heck? Green is a good color. Verde. How you say green in Spanish is verde. So I'm gonna try the verb tomar first. Let's try the verb tomar. The verb tomar conjugated in the preterite is yo tome. I think I need an accent mark in the E. Yeah. Yo tome. Tu tomaste. You have to include the tilde in these. You got to be very careful. El, ella, y usted. Toma. No, tomo. Tomo. Because with AR verbs, the E and the yo form and the O and the L, A, I, E, usted form take over in the preterite. And then nosotros y nosotras tomamos. I think you still have to include the tilde in the A right here. Vosotros y vosotras tomasteis. And ellos, ellas, y ustedes tomaron. See that? I can't edit that. There had to be a tilde right here, didn't there? There we go. Okay. So, tomar conjugated in the preterite indicative is yo tome, tu tomaste, él, ella, y usted tomo, nosotros y nosotras tomamos, vosotros y vosotras tomasteis, ellos, ellas, y ustedes tomaron. And notice this. Also notice this. Really notice that I put accent marks, tildes in these forms. Notice that I put tildes in these forms because the preterite applies more stress than any other tense in Spanish, right? That's not really exactly true because you know what? When we get into the imperfect, then we'll really be talking. And I think because of time consumption, I would like to go over one that's a little tiny bit harder. You know what? Let's go over the verb tener. I know the verb tener in the Spanish verb language pretty well. Here's our little verb conjugation chart. Tener. So, the Spanish verb tener, conjugated in the preterite, is yo tuve. Tú tuviste. Él, ella y usted tuvo. Nosotros y nosotras tuvimos. Vosotros y vosotras tuvisteis. And ellos, ellas y ustedes tuvieron. See that? Tener conjugated in the preterite is yo tuve, tú tuviste, él, ella y usted tuvo. Nosotras y nosotras, no, nosotros y nosotras tuvimos. Vosotros y vosotras tuvisteis. Ellos, ellas y ustedes tuvieron. Now, it does get a little bit trickier, but I'd like to show you an IR verb. I'd like to show you an IR type verb now. What? I haven't even used brown yet. Wow. Brown should be an interesting color for this one. I mean, I just use my imagination. So I want to go over some, yeah, let's do vivir. So the Spanish verb vivir. Now, conjugating this will require tildes. So you would go yo vive. Tú viviste. I don't think it. Él, ella y usted vivo. You have to include the tilde here. Nosotros y nosotras vivimos. Vosotros y vosotras vivisteis. And ellos, ellas y ustedes vivieron. See that? And as you can tell, you can already tell that the preterite is the full strength past tense in the Spanish language. So the preterite for the Spanish verb vivir is yo vive, tú viviste, él, ella y usted vivo. Nosotros y nosotras vivimos. Vosotros y vosotras vivisteis. Ellos, ellas y ustedes vivieron. Now, let us try. You know what? Let's give the verb dormir. Let's give the verb dormir a try now. I'm actually going to go with the more subtle color here for this one. Ah, there we go. Kind of like an avocado light green. Okay. So let's try the verb dormir. Okay. Now dormir in the preterite, in the present, is actually stem changing, but in the preterite, dormir does not have that many exceptions. The nice thing about the preterite is that in the yo form, it's just conjugated as yo dormi, right? And then tu dormiste You got to be careful in the él, ella, y usted form. It is él, ella, y usted dormió. See that? You got to be very careful here. Nosotros y nosotras dormimos. Vosotros y vosotras dormisteis. And ellos, ellas y ustedes durmieron. See that? The dormir conjugated in the preterit, which doesn't have many exceptions to it, unlike the present where it's stem changing. Yo dormí, tú dormiste, él, ella, y usted dormió, because you got to be very, very careful of this. Nosotros y nosotras dormimos. Vosotros y vosotras dormisteis. And ellos, ellas, y ustedes dormieron. And now there was a minor mistake I'd like to go over in the verb vivir. Clear all my drawings here. And the actual conjugations for vivir is actually yo, viví, and el, ella, usted, vivió. Those are two minor mistakes I made conjugating theirs. I thought it was yo vive vivo, but the preterite kind of throws me off a little bit too, because the preterite is the hardest tense. I actually want to go over one more verb before I go over the imperfect indicative. Let's try this color again. Sky blue, turquoise, whatever you like to call it. I would actually like to go over the verb ir now. So for the verb ir means to go. It's the same conjugations as ser. Yo fue, tú fuiste, él, ella, y usted fui. Nosotros y nosotras fuimos. Vosotros y vosotras fuisteis. And ellos, ellas, y ustedes fueron. Ir is the same conjugation as ser. Yo fue, tú fuiste, él, ella, y usted fui. Nosotros y nosotras fuimos. Vosotros y vosotras fuisteis. Ellos, ellas, y ustedes fueron. I ripped a bad one. Sorry about that, but that my butt is telling me I should just get into the imperfect. Okay, thank you. All right. So now let's go into the imperfect tense. And I want to start with the two most important tense verbs there, ter. Now, what happens in the imperfect indicative? Well, the verb ser in the preterite was yo fui. This time it is yo era. See that? Tú eras. Él, ella, y usted era. Nosotros y nosotras erramos. Vosotros y vosotras erráis. No. Ellos, ellas, y ustedes eran. See that? Now, I want you guys to notice one thing. Notice that in the yo form and the el, ella, y usted form, they are the exact same conjugations. The imperfect is supposed to be a simplified version of the past tense in the Spanish language, meaning that this tense is partially past tense, meaning you were doing something, but you didn't get it completely done, right? So standard conjugated in the indicative imperfect is yo era, tu eras, él, ella, y usted era, nosotros y nosotras éramos, vosotros y vosotras erais, ellos, ellas, y ustedes eran. Now we're going to go for the verb estar. Estar, a more formal way to say it to be. So let's go over the verb estar. Ooh, you got to be careful with AR verbs. This is yo estaba. Tú estabas. Él, ella, y usted estaba. Nosotros y nosotras estábamos. Vosotros y vosotras estabais. And ellos, ellas, y ustedes estaban. See that? Now notice, I want you to notice one thing here. With AR type verbs, notice how much different they are in the imperfect compared to the preterite. Abba, abbas, abba, abamos, but notice in the nosotros form a tilde right here. Abais, also notice a tilde right there. Aban. See that? It makes a major difference when you conjugate in the imperfect. And notice the yo form and the el, ella, y usted form are the exact same thing, right? See that? So the verb estar conjugated in the imperfect indicative is yo estaba, tú estabas, él, ella, y usted estaba, nosotros y nosotras estábamos, vosotros y vosotras estabais, ellos, ellas, y ustedes estaban. See? I don't think I even want to attempt the verb haber here, but we are going to go different colors. Well, let's go green again. My text is already green, so I'm good to go there. Okay. So I'm going to choose a random verb. What if I do the verb bailar? What if I do the verb bailar? How would you conjugate this into the imperfect? Well, yo bailaba, tú bailabas, él, ella y usted bailaba. Nosotros y nosotras bailábamos. Still have to include the tilde there. There's stress in this conjugation. Vosotros y vosotras bailabais. Just because it adds stress to this A in the second to last syllable of the conjugation and in the third to last symbol in the nosotros form. And ellos, ellas y ustedes bailaban. See that? The imperfect really makes a big difference, but the neat thing about the imperfect, I want you guys to notice one thing. Highlighted in orange. I'll highlight it in orange. Sorry, itchy foot. But anywho, notice in the imperfect, the stem remains just about the same in every conjugation, right? See that? The stem barely changes. The stem just barely changes in the imperfect. But anyways, I want to review the conjugations here. So for the Spanish verb bailar in the imperfect indicative is yo bailaba, tú bailabas, él, ella y usted bailaba, nosotros y nosotras bailábamos, vosotros y vosotras bailabais, ellos, ellas y ustedes bailaban. Ooh. What happens when I do the verb tener? What happens when I do the verb tener? Well, it's a little bit tricky here because this is yo tenía. See? Tú tenías. Él, ella y usted tenía. Nosotros y nosotras teníamos. Vosotros y vosotras teníais. Ellos, ellas y ustedes tenían. See that? And I still want you to note this. I still want you to note this. The yo form and the el, ella, y usted form are still the exact same thing. These are just like two twin brothers right here. See that? So, tener in the imperfect indicative is yo tenía, tú tenías, él, ella y usted tenía, nosotros y nosotras teníamos, Vosotros y vosotras teníais. Ellos, ellas y ustedes tenían. Now, it gets a little trickier with verbs. Like, let's go with Volvad. I'm going to use pink. Pinky in the brain. Huh. You know what? I actually want to go over an IR verb before I. Well, what if I do the verb pedir? I don't think we've ever gone over the verb pedir. But let's give it a try. The verb pedir is yo pedía, tú pedías, él, ella y usted pedía, nosotros y nosotras pedíamos, vosotros y vosotras pedíais, ellos, ellas y ustedes pedían. This was a more acceptable time for me to do the verb pedir. Just because pedir is a very challenging verb in the preterit, right? So the verb pedir conjugated in the imperfect indicative is yo pedía, tú pedías, él, ella y usted pedía, nosotros y nosotras pedíamos, vosotros y vosotras pedíais, ellos, ellas y ustedes pedían. But there's one thing I want you guys to notice in ER and IR type verbs. Take a look at this right here. See that? A tilde right there. Notice it in all of the tenses, all of the conjugations. And I want you guys to notice the actual flower part to the verb as well. Ia, ias, ia. And notice the yo and l-a-i-e usted form are the exact same conjugations. Iamos, iais, eon. See that? See that? Now, I'm going to go over at least one more verb. Try dark blue. I've never even tried that color yet. I'm going to try going over the verb eared. Eared. Ooh. Notice that ser and eared are the exact same in the preterit, but in the imperfect, no. Take a look at this. Yo iba to ibas. El, ella y usted iba. Nosotros y nosotras íbamos. Vosotros y vosotras ibais. Ellos, ellas y ustedes iban. You got to be very cautious of this here. Ser and ir are the exact same conjugations in the preterit, but not in the imperfect. It is yo iba, tú ibas, él, ella y usted iba. Nosotros y nosotras íbamos. vosotros y vosotras ibais, ellos, ellas y ustedes iban. See, the preterite and the imperfect make a big, huge impact on the conjugations. They make a big, huge difference. Let's go over some useful phrases. Let's go over some useful phrases now. So I would like to start with the preterite. So let me think here. Yo tuve un coche. What do you think that means? I'm giving you guys a hint. It is not the present tense. It is the past tense. It's one of the it's the major past tense of the indicative tenses in the Spanish language. I encourage you to pause this video and try to translate this into English on your own. This means I had a car, right? Or in some circumstances, you could say yo tuve un carro, right? I prefer coche just because coche is like coche for the meaning of car has a more colorful meaning to it in Spanish, right? Rather than carro, because carro would be one way. I mean, if you word it this way, carro, I mean, I had a cart in some circumstances, right? That's why the meaning of coche is more accurate, right? Let's see. Let's make it plural. Nosotras. Let's make it even more interesting. How about Miguel y yo? So Miguel and I. Tuvimos some orange juice. Jugo de naranja. Let me make my text box a little bigger here. Okay. So Miguel y yo tuvimos jugo de naranja. What do you guys think that means? Give me just a second to pause the video and try it. Miguel and I had orange juice. See that? Or in some cases, like they would call in Spain, somo de naranja. Somo is another meaning for juice in Spanish. But if we're here in Latin America, I prefer it jugo, right? I think jugo is a more accurate meaning in Spanish rather than somo, just because. Let's try a different verb now. This time we're going to make it singular. So maybe mi papá hizo mi papá quiso un other than a food or a pet. Un pelle. How about that? Mi papá quiso un pelle. What do you think that means? Or to make this even more accurate, let's try televisor. What do you think that means? My father wanted a television, right? Ooh, this is a circumstance where the father could be mad at somebody, including their son, right? That's a very useful phrase in the preterite. The preterite is used for bad circumstances like this, right? Mi papá quiso un televisor. Ooh, somebody's in big trouble here, right? How about this? Usted um uh, usted quiso su tarea. Usted hizo su tarea. What do you think that means? You did your homework, right? Or you can form this in a question. Did you do your homework, right? This is a little easier to understand in the form of a question. See, another way you can say homework in Spanish is deber. But I prefer tarea just because deber kind of stirs up confusion. Deber is up for debate for me. That's why I prefer tarea for homework. Okay, let's do one more. Let's try another plural one. This time, let's try Lisa E. Lisa E. Carmen. Um, yeah, trying to think of what that would be in the better. Miraron la película. Let's make this more interesting and say en al cine. What do you think that means? I'm begging you. I'm giving you a little bit of time to think about this because I'm making it a little bit trickier, right? Okay. Just to give you a hint about cine, cinema is a possible meaning. Lisa and Carmen watched the movie in the cinema. That's a possible meaning, but what if we did theater? Theater is another possible meaning. I mean, the word cine is up to debate for me. And do you know why I use the word al before cine? Because it's one of those words that sound masculine, but they're actually feminine, right? Or I could even say in la cine, right? I mean, cine is, there's some pretty catchy words like that in Spanish, right? You know what? Let's try a few useful phrases in the imperfect now. So what if I did tú estabas, you were being ruido. Tú estabas ruido. What do you think that means? You were being noisy. I caught you there with the word ruido. But what if I made this tú estabas muy ruido? Then you were being very noisy. But ruido is actually another word. You can say that ruido means rude too, right? Or you can say that it means annoying, right? Ruido has many meanings. Okay. Um, let's try Carmen. Actually, Carolina, Carolina. Um, Cynthia. Uh, Poco enojado. What does that mean? I gave you a hint with the word enojado. With this emotion right here. Carolina was feeling a little angry. Enojado means angry in Spanish, right? Hmm. Um, let me let me think. Okay. Um, let's do one that's plural. How about Nosotros necesitábamos nos maletas. Ooh, what do you think that means? We needed our suitcases, right? Okay, let's go over one more. And my little clock on the wall is telling me I should go over the present progressive with you here soon. So just one more in the imperfect. Let's make it plural again. Sarah y Felipe. Sarah y Felipe. Here, I'm gonna make this a little interesting. Querían soñar están um this might be kind of a silly one. Sara y Felipe querían soñar a pastel de chocolate. What do you think that means? Again, I encourage you to pause this video and try to translate this to English on your own. Sarah and Felipe wanted to dream of chocolate cake. Who the heck wants to dream of chocolate cake, man? That's a silly saying in Spanish, just like you say, yo tengo un gato en mis pantalones. But that was the present tense. We're only talking about the imperfect and the preterite. But querían actually means was wanting to dream of chocolate cake. See, if I said wanted, then I would say quieron, right? But since I'm saying querían, they were wanting to dream of chocolate cake. Sarah and Felipe were wanting to dream of chocolate cake. You got to be very careful with this right here, because querían is not the full strength past tense, it's just partial past tense. So this saying is not as silly of saying as when you say quieron, right? Because then if you make that quieron, then it's wanted, right? But if you make this querían, then it would be were wanted, right? Okay. So I would like to go over a few present tense participles really quick. So for the verb ser, the present participle I believe it's soniendo, but or I'm trying to think. I believe it's soniendo, but you guys can correct me there. Can you guess what the present participle of estar is? Estando. Right? These participles really don't exist. They're rarely used. Okay. Let's go kind of easy now. Hablar. Present participle. What do you think that is? Bailando. Right? Cantar. What do you think this is? Cantando. See that? Tomar. Tomando. Tener. Teniendo. You got it. Traer. Trayendo. 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 Practicar. Practicando. Hacer. Haciendo. Vivir. Viviendo. Volver. Moviendo. Traducir. Traduciendo. One more. Ooh, trying to think of a really good IR verb. Um, Seguir. Seguir. Siguiendo. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys the conjugation chart for how to use the present progressive. So you would follow these by the following conjugations. I'm just going to take indicative present tense for now. And then you follow this by I'm just listing some of them. Trying to think of one more. There we go. Interrumpiendo, meaning you were interrupting, right? But see, using the present progressive, you would follow this conjugation for a starter by these present participles. Like, for example, you would say, estoy practicando, right? Whoa, that was kind of scary. Or you can say in the to form, estás bailando, right? Or you can say está haciendo. Estamos trabajando, right? Estáis necesitando, right? Or even están bailando, right? I want to show you just two examples of some useful phrases with the present progressive. Like, I can say, yo estoy comiendo una ensalada. What do you think that means? I am eating a salad, right? Let's go over one that's plural. Ellas están teniendo trying to think what those girls are having bread, or you can say those gals are having bread. All right, just one more before I go to a close for the day. What do you think this means? We are seeing it in the night train. I guess that can be kind of silly sometimes, but okay. That little clock on the wall I have is telling me I got to get going now. So it was nice seeing you, and I hope to see you the next time. I'm going to be doing a 300 subscriber video the next thing I do, and then the time after that, I will go over some more useful phrases with the present progressive, and then I will hopefully go over the subjunctive imperfect and the conditional tense. That'll give you a little taste of future tense there. So make good choices, don't get arrested. I hope to see you in my 300 subscriber video. And go big, go small, do whatever. You got to go big. Josh, AK Killer 95 signing off. Peace.